It's the end of the year and the start of the holiday season, and Chris Roberts has come to meet us here with a letter from the chairman. So let's have a look at what Chris Roberts has to say about this year and also his plans for 2026. And before we start, as always, a big thanks to everyone who liked the previous video. It did help with the YouTube algorithm. We also had more people subscribing to the channel, so if you are new, thank you also and welcome. And if you haven't jumped in yet but enjoy the content, please consider doing so, as it's the best way you can help the channel. And now, on to our video. So, in this letter from the chairman, Chris Roberts frames 2025 as a turning point for Star Citizen, highlighted by the release of 2 star systems being Pyro and Nyx, along with the return of Levski and a major expansion of locations and mission content across the verse. Central to this progress was server meshing, which enabled a larger, more stable universe with hundreds of players sharing the same instance, dramatically improving performance, crash recovery, and overall playability despite some legacy system hiccups. The year also saw expanded environments, improved AI and interactions, 24 new vehicles, and an unprecedented delivery pace with frequent patches and updates. Major gameplay additions, like engineering in Alpha 4.5, which is available right now, pushed the game toward deeper systemic and crew-based experiences, while an experimental VR mode showcased the long-term benefits of the project's physicalized design and recent engine optimizations. Combined with a strong focus on bug fixing and quality of life improvements, these changes led to record-breaking engagement, stability gains, and player activity, cementing what Chris Roberts calls the year of playability for Star Citizen. But of course, what everyone wants to know is what's next. And here, Chris Roberts is outlining that 2026 is not going to be a pivot, but a consolidation year with long-term consequences. A phase where Star Citizen shifts from proving that its tech works to fully exploiting it at scale. The emphasis is clearly on depth, cohesion, and systemic maturity rather than headline-grabbing features. After 2025 established playability and technical credibility, 2026 is positioned as the year where all the major pillars begin to interlock into a true MMO framework. We're going to make a video about that very soon, by the way. At the heart of this is dynamic server meshing, finally. Up until now, server meshing has been about giving players the ability to move seamlessly from one server to another, but making it dynamic fundamentally changes the way the universe can be supported. Real-time configuration based on player density and activity means the game can organically scale encounters, events, and hotspots without artificial limits. This is the missing link for truly massive operations, large fleet battles, org-driven logistics, system-wide crises, and social hubs that naturally grow and shrink based on player presence. The mention of thousands of players in a single shared universe instance is not marketing fluff. It signals that Star Citizen is moving closer to its original vision, one of cohesive universe rather than fragmented shards. The use of meshing tech here for instance experiences is equally important, as it allows designers to introduce curated, balanced content without breaking immersion or persistence, something traditional MMOs rely on heavily, but Star Citizen has deliberately avoided that until now. Planet Tech V5, or Genesis, is the second major axis of growth, and Genesis planets represent a qualitative leap rather than a simple visual upgrade. These worlds are meant to be governed by systemic rules, climate, terrain logic, biome density, and ecological relationships instead of handcrafted set dressing alone. The result should be that planets are going to feel less like static backdrops and more like environments with internal logic where exploration, survival, and settlement naturally emerge from the terrain itself. Starchitect locations layered into these planets ensure that handcrafted gameplay moments still exist, preventing procedural scale from feeling empty. The addition of AI population management is critical here. Instead of generic NPC placements, inhabitants will be context-aware, shaped by local conditions, factions, and economic roles, allowing planets to feel inhabited rather than populated. And while this was not confirmed as such, I really hope that this means that we will finally see NPC traffic, or perhaps early iterations of StarSim involved in this, or it could just be that NPCs will be made more relevant to their locations, like for example NPCs on Ariel that would wear special suits, or that we would stop seeing shirtless NPCs in the freezing areas of Microtech. I think it sounds more like that actually. On the system side, the focus on inventory, insurance, item recovery, and cross-patch persistence signals a push towards long-term player trust. Those are not the most glamorous features, but they are essential for an MMO where time invested matters. Improving speed, reliability, and clarity around ownership and recovery reduces friction and anxiety, especially as crafting, engineering, and deeper economic systems are coming online. This is about making Star Citizen feel fair, readable, and respectful of player time, which is a prerequisite before introducing harsher survival mechanics or higher stakes gameplay loops, such as Death of a Spaceman. Chris Roberts also talks about Squadron 42, which is clearly entering its final stretch. And that being said, I think that the portion of Chris Roberts' message about Squadron 42 deserves to be read less as a tease and more as a status signal. The repeated emphasis on polish, confidence, and a restrained marketing approach strongly suggests that Squadron 42 is no longer in a phase of feature uncertainty or structural risk. At this stage, the work is about refinement, tightening pacing, stabilizing performance across a wide range of hardware, ensuring AI behavior are consistent and readable, and making sure that the cinematic presentation holds up from start to finish. This is the kind of work that only happens when the game is fundamentally complete in scope, and it aligns with the idea that Squadron 42 is moving through beta phase rather than still becoming something. But it's also implied here that Squadron 42 benefits directly from the same technological maturation seen in Star Citizen. Improvements to the engine, AI systems, animation pipelines, rendering, and performance optimization are shared foundations, meaning that Squadron 42 is not being polished in isolation. Instead, it is being finalized on top of tech that has now proven itself at scale in the live universe. This matters enormously for a cinematic single-player game where immersion, consistency, and responsiveness are non-negotiable. The confidence Roberts expresses suggests that Squadron 42 is now being judged internally as a finished experience that needs to be perfected, and this is emphasized by the fact that Chris Roberts said that Squadron 42 is going to enter internal beta phase, so it really looks like they could reach their goal of a 2026 release, and with a potential delay to 2027 of GTA 6, the timeframe could be perfect. Chris also informed us that they are not going to give us some ad nauseum ads and teasers. Instead, CIG appears to be intentionally stepping away from the traditional hype treadmill, likely because Squadron 42 has already been extensively shown over the years through trailers, gameplay demos, and behind-the-scenes content. Rather than rebuilding expectations yet again, the strategy seems to be about letting the final product speak for itself when the timing is right. This approach also reduces the risk of over-promising and instead here positions Squadron 42 as not an eternal preview but a confident release that is going to arrive when it's going to be ready. So I'm really curious to hear what you think. After everything Chris Roberts laid out in this letter from the chairman, what do you think was achieved in 2025 that deserves to be mentioned, and what do you think is planned for 2026? I think dynamic server meshing, Genesis planets, and core system upgrades are going to be the core of what we're going to be seeing, but I guess time will tell. Anyway, let me know in the comment section also what caught your attention, what you're most curious about going on into 2026, and what questions you still have after reading this letter. As always, I'll be reading through them, and we can keep the discussion going on Discord. You'll find the link in the description down below. Hope to see you there. That is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Irad. A big shout out to my Patreon and YouTube members, as always, including Deplorable Fidel, The Kid, The Crush, The Rise, Zero Crusher, and Dr. Frobin. And I'll see you guys in the next one.